The Middle Ages are often remembered as a grand era of crusades, when Catholic knights strode proudly into wars in the Holy Lands, eager to follow the orders of their Pope. They fought for glory, for faith, and for something to do, especially if they were middle or younger sons with no real promise of land or inheritance back home. Many of these fighters joined holy orders to protect pilgrims and lay claim to Holy Land, to protect it for Christendom. One of the most prominent of these orders was the Knights Templar, a French-founded organization established in the 1100s. The Templars worked tirelessly to safeguard pilgrims, expand Christian influence in the Holy Land, and just so happened to amass significant wealth along the way. In the 1300s, they were abruptly disbanded by Pope Clement V under pressure from King Philip IV of France. On the surface, it seemed like a calculated betrayal of a loyal Catholic order, likely motivated by the king's massive debts to the knights. It was convenient and profitable for Philip to eliminate the Templars. He was a king with many debts after all. But what if there was a deeper, darker reason why the king dissolved the Knights Templars? What if they had uncovered a secret so explosive that the king had no choice but to destroy them? On June 10, 1306, King Philip IV sits in his private chamber, irritated at having been summoned to an emergency meeting. As king, he considers it his prerogative to call such meetings, not the other way around. Yet the urgency of the summons from Geoffrey de Campion, one of his informants embedded in the Knights Templar, had been enough to pull him away from his affairs of state. Already Philip is enjoying himself, idly imagining punishments for wasting his time. But Geoffrey does not disappoint. He reveals a dangerous secret, one that threatens the very foundations of Philip's rule. The Templars had discovered evidence that Philip was illegitimate. Geoffrey recounts how some of the older Templars had confided in him. They claimed that Philip's mother, Isabella of Aragon, had taken a knight from her retinue as her lover, and that Philip was the product of their affair, a fact his father had never suspected. The Templars, Geoffrey whispers, are holding on to this damning secret, intending to use it as leverage should Philip default on his debts to the order. Philip feels panic gripping his heart as he contemplates what to do. He knows very well that if this revelation ever saw the light of day, it would end his reign, tarnish his legacy, and destroy his son's chances of inheriting the throne. He has to come up with a plan soon if he wants to ensure that his throne is protected. Fortunately, he is nothing if not cunning. He knows just the way to lure the Templars to France, where he can eliminate them before they expose him. He has Pope Clement V call a grand meeting to organize a new crusade, and urges all knights to attend. Jacques de Molay, the leader of the Knights Templar, encourages all his fellow order members to gather for what seems like a vital cause. There are roughly 5,000 members of the order, and the king works hard to ensure that they all come to France. Meanwhile, there were already vague rumors circulating that the knights were heretics, encouraged by how secretive the order was. King Philip simply helped them along, spreading rumors that the Knights Templar worshipped secret idols, denied that Christ was God, and engaged in vile practices. Whispers spread like wildfire throughout the population, casting doubt on the formerly beloved organization. King Philip waits for months, biding his time until he feels that the rumors have truly started to be effective. Finally, King Philip sends out a secret message on September 14th, 1307 to every bailiff and seneschal in France. The orders are explicitly not to be opened until October 13th. At dawn on the 13th, hundreds of envelopes are slit open across France, and eyebrows raise as the orders to arrest every member of the Knights Templar are read. The knights are distracted, discussing the possibility of the next crusade with Pope Clement V, and as no one knew about the plan to arrest them in advance, no one can warn the knights to flee. The raids begin early, and hundreds of Templars are rounded up from their morning prayers before the order has had any chance to react. Jacques de Molay pleads for his knights to be spared, but to no avail. He swears they have done nothing wrong, but is flatly ignored. He begins to scream that he will reveal the king's secret if his men are not protected, and is promptly executed. Accusations of heresy, sodomy, and blasphemy are leveled against all members of the order. Those who refuse to confess are subjected to horrific torture. They are greased with fat and slowly roasted over a massive fire until they crack and agree to whatever Philip wants to hear. They admit to awful perversions simply to stop the pain. Philip uses these forced confessions to justify the mass executions of the Templars. He is quite pleased with how well his plan is going and hopes he can kill everyone who might know the truth of his ancestry. Pope Clement V begs the king to stop this madness, pointing out that they are Catholic knights who have fought bravely for the faith. The king responds by brusquely reminding Clement that he owes his papal throne to Philip's support. Was he willing to give up his position, his title, maybe even his life, just to protect some Catholic warriors? The Pope reluctantly backs down, but he continues to search for a way to help end the bloodshed. Meanwhile, King Philip is ordering more and more deaths. He does not want a single Templar to escape. One day, the Pope finds his opportunity to intervene at last, when a mysterious note in code appears in his favorite Bible. It urges him to meet with one of the last free members of the Knights Templar, promising that there is important information that must be shared. Pope Clement V is cautious, but he feels he must know what the man has to say. So he sends one of his most trusted advisors, who meets the Templar at dawn in a quiet church on the edge of Avignon. While they both pretend to pray, the Templar quietly explains the truth of the king's legitimacy. The Pope's agent initially believes this accusation to be completely false, but the Templar produces and passes over a love letter that is undeniably written by Isabella of Aragon and is not addressed to the king. Pope Clement V is stunned when he hears the news and is initially unsure how to react. The king to whom he swore his undying loyalty, whom he let innocent Catholics die for, is illegitimate. Something must be done. He approaches the palace and confronts the king with the truth. The king rages, then pleads, then begs on his knees for the Pope to keep the information secret. But the Pope cannot be moved. He tells the king it is the will of God that this information be exposed, and that the Templars are holy warriors. God will sing for their blood to be avenged, now that the Pope knows what awful secret they beheld. He offers the king a week to repent and abdicate, to avoid publicly disgracing his family. The king tries to respond by threatening the Pope, but Pope Clement V is unmoved. Now that he knows the secret of King Philip's father, he is no longer beholden to the French king. The king disappears to his private chapel and asks not to be disturbed while he prays. The guards leave him in peace for hours, and when they finally check on him, they discover that he has taken his own life. King Philip had chosen to escape his shame in the only way he knew how. He leaves a letter explaining the truth to his sons and how they must be strong for France and not try to ascend to the throne. They respect their father's last wishes and stand aside. Pope Clement V quietly arranges for King Philip's great-uncle, Robert of Clermont, to be crowned as King of France. The elderly and handicapped Duke only survives as king for a few years. He orders the remaining Templars freed and their order reinstated, though it has only a fraction of the members it had before Philip's purge. He earns the nickname King Robert the Merciful. When he dies in 1317, his son becomes King Louis XI, starting the illustrious Bourbon dynasty which will rule France for centuries to come. The Templars were wiped out in an unbelievably rapid and brutal sweep of their members, an order that just a few years before their decline had been powerful and beloved. They fell from grace due to the money that King Philip needed so desperately, just a means to an end. yet they disappeared so quickly, one must wonder if there is more to the story. We will never know what secrets the Order truly held, but it's fascinating to imagine how their secrets might have toppled a king. I hope you enjoyed watching. What other what-ifs would you like to explore? Make sure to comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe.